Begin, let me just address this horrible ponytail. It is for a movie I'm filming. I've been called many things. Chris Anal, Sri Lankan short order cook. I look like I should be tying a woman to the train tracks. These are offensive. They hurt my...
First off, the tying a woman to the tracks thing is hilarious. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So I haven't seen Andrew Schulz in a while. I did remember that Andrew Schulz was doing a movie. You know, I think Andrew Schulz is somewhere in Australia or something. Don't quote me. But it was nice to see Andrew Schulz actually take some time out and give Andrew Schulz thoughts on the left, Charlie Kirk, and politics, Jimmy Kimmel, the whole bit. Andrew Schulz is going to really break down what's been going on and give Andrew Schulz thoughts. I know that right before all of this happened, Andrew Schulz was getting mad with MAGA. Andrew Schulz was actually being shunned by MAGA, and still to now, Steven Crowder's losing Steven Crowder's mind over Andrew Schulz. But this would be pretty interesting to see what Andrew Schulz has to say about everything. Let's get right into it.
Feelings, but you should be allowed to say them. And that gets into this conversation. Last week, Charlie Kirk's tragic death exposed that our political values have eroded faster than Kash Patel's interest in the Epstein list. The discourse between right and left is officially just beat the other side, even if it means becoming exactly what you hate. It started with the left's reaction to Charlie's assassination. Surely people on the left that have constantly been reminding us of the dangers of fascism, surely they would condemn the assassination of a political opponent. No, many of them celebrated it, like Charlie Sheen on World AIDS Day, and that's just about as fascist as Putin's pierogies, which is not only a food, it's what he calls his housekeepers. Now, I've heard people say, well, technically that's not fascism because the government didn't assassinate the political opponent. Wow. Nuance. I'm glad the people that called Sydney Sweeney a Nazi for wearing jeans learned what that is. Now, for the record, just because her bra size is SS doesn't mean she's Goebbels. Now, it wasn't just the left, the right, the party that ended cancel culture, the party that is keeping free speech alive. Surely they maintain their values in the face of tragedy? No, they folded faster than a pair of Peter Dinklage's dungarees. Jimmy Kimmel, who for anyone under 50 is a late night TV host, and for anyone under 40, late night TV is how the pharmaceutical industry gets your uncle hooked on opioids. And for anyone under 30, TV is like TikTok, but your phone is sideways and not controlled by Bamboo Babe Ruth. Anyway, Jimmy's show is taken off the air because he allegedly made a joke about Charlie. I watched the segment.
So now I had a feeling that this was going to happen with Andrew Schulz. So Andrew Schulz is trying to both sides of the situation. We're going to continue to watch exactly what Andrew Schulz is saying because Andrew Schulz, I think, is getting it wrong with this one a little bit. And, you know, of course, well, actually, Andrew Schulz did condemn the left for a little bit, but went right into the right. I think Andrew Schulz spent about 45 seconds condemning the left. So let's go ahead and listen to the rest. By the way, guys, if you like these clips, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and a notification bell. Thank you to every eye that lands on these videos.
You watched the segment. He did not make a joke about Charlie at all. The joke was about Trump and one of his reactions to Charlie's death, which was ridiculous. He started talking about White House renovations, which if he hadn't kicked out all the Mexicans would have been done by now. Now, I will say Jimmy did spread misinformation about Charlie's killer, saying that he was right-wing. I don't know how right-wing you can be if your girlfriend has a cock. We'll have to ask Lindsey Graham about that. Rumor is he likes devouring a devious bull-nosed cock. Now, in all seriousness, I'm pretty sure the only thing leaning to the right in that relationship was his girlfriend's big salty cock.
Okay, how many times is Andrew Schulz going to say that word? I'm sorry, I have to keep cutting in. It is also for copyright issues. YouTube has been very, strict lately, but okay, we get it. What you guys think about that comment, about this joke? I don't know, like, it's landing, but it's still not funny to me.
But furthermore, if spreading misinformation is worthy of cancellation, then just get rid of the internet right now. Personally, I think it's a violation of free speech and incredibly corny to hire a comedian and fire them for jokes no matter which side of the aisle those jokes land on. There is always going to be someone offended by a joke. Half the population is female. And if you got offended by that, you're proving my point. If we set a precedent that we silence comedians when people are offended, there will be no comedy at all, and my feet are not nice enough to start an OnlyFans. But let's say that you disagree. ABC is a private company. They should be able to hire and fire as they choose. I've heard people say freedom of speech isn't freedom of consequence, and that is fair. But is ABC simply firing an employee over a joke they didn't like? Or is it Trump's FCC chair, Brennan Carr, going on a podcast the next day saying Jimmy Kimmel should be punished and saying we can do this the easy way or the hard way, which is what Tyler Robinson's girlfriend said on their first date when she whipped out.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait a minute. Let's just go back real quick. This clip is a little short. You notice? So Andrew Schulz is actually calling out certain people on the right. Tim Pool is the right now because, I mean, I don't even know what the right is anymore. But Andrew Schulz is calling out Tim Pool and Benny Johnson because the FCC director was on Benny Johnson's show talking about easy ways and hard ways. But let's go ahead and get back into it.
Should be able to hire and fire as they choose. I've heard people say freedom of speech isn't freedom of consequence, and that is fair. But is ABC simply firing an employee over a joke they didn't like? Or is it Trump's FCC chair, Brennan Carr, going on a podcast the next day saying Jimmy Kimmel should be punished and saying we can do this the easy way or the hard way, which is what Tyler Robinson's girlfriend said on their first date when she whipped out that vindictive, conniving with salt all over it Himalayan? Well, you know what happened immediately after? Nexstar, one of the largest affiliate owners in the country, meaning they broadcast Jimmy Kimmel's show, they pulled Kimmel from all their broadcasts. Now, do you think they did that because they were offended by the joke or because they have a $6.2 billion merger they need approved by the FCC? If they did it for that merger, that is the definition of government influence silencing of speech. And now all these staunch free speech advocates are doing mental gymnastics to get around the fact that they're okay with government influence silencing of speech as long as it's for their opposition. You want to know who wouldn't be okay with that? Charlie Kirk. Love him or hate him, Charlie gave a microphone to his political opponents, asked audiences to treat them with respect. He quite literally amplified the voices of those he disagreed with. How do you think he would feel about his tragic death being used to silence political opposition?
I don't think Charlie Kirk would be happy about that at all. I want to go back to that merger thing. Andrew Schulz did just drop a little nugget there. So, you know, that.
Well, you know what happened immediately after? Nexstar, one of the largest affiliate owners in the country, meaning they broadcast Jimmy Kimmel's show, they pulled Kimmel from all their broadcasts. Now, do you think they did that because they were offended by the joke or because they have a $6.2 billion merger they need approved by the FCC? If they did it for that merger, that is the definition of government influence silencing of speech. And now all these staunch free speech advocates are doing mental gymnastics to get around the fact that they're okay with government influence silencing of speech as long as it's for their opposition. You want to know who wouldn't be okay with that? Charlie Kirk. Love him or hate him, Charlie gave a microphone to his political opponents, asked audiences to treat them with respect. He quite literally amplified the voices of those he disagreed with. How do you think he would feel about his tragic death being used to silence political opposition? Honestly, do you think that he would advocate for canceling Jimmy? There's no way. I think he'd be furious about it. I think his supporters should be furious about it, and I think his detractors should be furious about it. It shouldn't even be up for debate.
This was pretty good, actually, by Andrew Schulz. I mean, you know, I did say that he only condemned the left for a little bit or whatever. But, I can't even be mad at Andrew Schulz flashing Tim Pool and Benny Johnson like that. Because what happened was there was a lot of mental gymnastics just to say that this was okay. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to be petty, own the pettiness. Like, somebody like Nick Fuentes said, like, no, we want to use the government to get our way with certain things because we're in power now. I respect that more because it's like, well, at least you're telling me what's on your mind. Instead of saying, no, ABC just did what they wanted to do. ABC just did what they wanted to do. Trump had nothing to do with it. Trump had nothing to do with it. This is what happened to Tim Pool on Piers Morgan's show with Kat Tempth. I don't know how to say her last name, but Tim Pool was saying, oh, Trump had nothing to do with it. But she was like, the FCC, the director of the FCC was on Benny Johnson's show talking about easy ways and hard ways. Like, we can't act like that didn't happen. I don't know what made him go on Benny Johnson's show and put it all on Front Street in the first place. Now, look, there's part of this that Andrew Schulz doesn't understand because Andrew Schulz is not on the right of, the censoring with talking about trans people, talking about the Great Cough. I mean, to this day, I still have PTSD from that. And talk about the Great Cough because I get so scared that, I don't even like talking about it because I almost lost my channel. I mean, it was insane. And again, with the trans thing, it's like, people were getting censored left and right. Even people on the left. Like I said, like Dave Chappelle was getting censored actually when he was talking about that community and all of that. So it was crazy. It's been a crazy, last 4 years, of course. Before Trump, it was crazy. It was insane. So a lot of people are still feeling that. And the things that happened to them, J6ers going to jail. J6ers went to jail without, any kind of due process, stuff like that. So I understand. The wanting to use the power that you have now to, flex. I get it. I do get it. I understand it. But don't act like that's not what you're doing. Be a man and stand up. So, and Andrew Schulz is right. I mean, technically it was kind of a fishy move to do that to Jimmy Kimmel. Not that I watch Jimmy Kimmel. Not that I'm on the left, but it was a fishy move. Own it. At least own it. That's what I don't like when people do. They don't own their actions. And he is right when he says the person who would have been against it would have been Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk would have been against it. Now, I will say Charlie Kirk did not really necessarily give a platform to all of his opponents, though I believe that his donors had a say in that, because Charlie Kirk did not ever debate Nick Fuentes, and I would have loved to have seen that. But I think Charlie Kirk would have. But I think the donors got in the way. But Charlie Kirk wouldn't have wanted this. I do remember, as much as, going back and forth with Charlie Kirk, but I remember his tweet when he said, and it's right here, yeah, hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it's protected by the First Amendment. Yeah, and the only way to, combat it is with better speech. So I'm not really for silencing people. I do understand a code of conduct. Nurses should not be running around being excited that Charlie Kirk was ended. That's crazy. I'm saying nurses because that's my profession. But at the end of the day, it's a little, I'm also one who doesn't like to give the government too much power. Not this government, not in this way. Maybe in a better world, maybe a real Christian government, maybe I would probably be, exercise some fascism a little bit more. But I'm not afraid to say that that's something that I would do. Anyway, guys, you let me know what you think. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.